I went in what they call open contract, um, which, okay, so you take the ASVAB, you take your SATs. I scored fairly well, um, but you know, my going through high school and, and the peer pressure, um, living by yourself when you're a junior and a senior in high school, um, there's a lot of peer pressure. But I didn't have a lot of time for friends. I didn't have a lot of socialism, or socializing, excuse me. But but there was still peer pressure, and I experimented with marijuana, okay, that kind of stuff. And so when I enlisted in the Marine Corps, I admitted that I had experimented with marijuana, and that's why I wasn't guaranteed an MOS or a military occupational specialty. Okay, um, and so that just means that I could have been infantry, I could have been a cook, wherever they needed me. That's where they would have put me. Okay, because I was open contract. Now, I didn't care. I just didn't care. I wanted to complete Marine Corps boot camp, and I wanted to earn my dress points. I graduated number 2 out of boot camp.
Impressive.
Um, the only reason I didn't graduate number 1 is because he did better on the final written exam than I did.
Oh.
So there you go. So right at the end of boot camp, my senior drill instructor asked me. He said, "Can you drive?" Sir, yes, sir. Well, and then and I'm not going to use the verbiage that he used, but he said, "You can't tell me." He said, "Every 18-year-old thinks that they can drive." Sir, Driver grew up on a farm. I've literally been driving since I was 3 years old. And so they made me motor transport, which I was a driver. Then after boot camp, I went to Indiana for a couple of weeks, and then I went back to California to Camp Pendleton, and I spent 6 weeks in motor transport school. And so you spend 1 week in the classroom, and then you spend 1 week in the field driving little Jeeps and pickups. And then you spend the third week in the classroom, and then the fourth week you're out in the field and you're driving the mid-size, the Humvees and the 5-ton trucks, troop transports. Then you go back to the classroom, and then the last week you're out driving like tractor trailers. My first duty station, they asked me, and I graduated, I think, number 2 in that class as well. It haunts me forever. But they asked me, you had my choice. I could go to the East Coast, which is Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. West Coast, uh, Camp Pendleton, California, or I could go overseas. Well, I went in the Marine Corps to go overseas if I had the opportunity. Okay, so I chose to go to Okinawa, Japan. The first month that you're there, it's called climatization and orientation. So you're getting used to the climate, and then of course all of their vehicles, the steering wheel is on the right, and they drive on the left. Okay, so but all of our vehicles, the steering wheel is still on the left, but you drive on the left. So you had to get what they call a SOFA stamp. So you had to go through their driver's ed, or to get the driver's license to drive on the island. Gunny says, "I need a volunteer." Well, no, I'm not going to volunteer. But he said, there's a Marine who's going on vacation. He's going to go back to the United States for 3 weeks, and we need someone to be a chauffeur for the battalion commander who was a lieutenant colonel.
I'll do it.
2 weeks passed. The Marine came back from vacation. Lieutenant Colonel sent him to the motor pool and kept me.